Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture. Hi, and welcome to The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Garrett-Motkins, and joining us today is the Vice Chair for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, Dr. Steve Gallen. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be back, Jessica. It's always a pleasure to be back. What I feel like is home with the culture, with the family and friends. Your tremendous vision, your success, and all that you're doing to provide this critically important platform for our community is to be celebrated, is to be applauded, and just glad to be a part of it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gallen. I'm going to pick up right where we left off on our last show, and it was all about masks. We discussed the medical experts, their recommendations, and mask requirements for students. And then you successfully proffered the item that was actually received a great deal of support to require students to wear masks. And then I'm going over the data as to where we are right now. And reports show that the average COVID-19 cases with MDCPS per 100,000 have been on a decline since the last week, I believe in September.
Yes. And that runs counter to what may have been anticipated. Look, we understand that once our schools opened, our young people, especially those that are not vaccinated, had the proclivity to be super spreaders. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but young people can transmit COVID. They engage each other in very close proximity, close quarters. And we understood that going back into this school year. I want to commend my colleagues on the board, the 8 colleagues on the board that supported the item. The item, as you know, passed 7-1. One board member wasn't present. And we took a bold step to embrace science, to debunk politics, and really to lean on the expert advice of our medical experts. Ironically, our medical experts in the Miami-Dade County Public Schools is involved in a hearing today, which started this morning in our lawsuit against the state of Florida Department of Health, along with other school districts. That started this morning at 10 o'clock, and that will continue for the next 2 days. Jessica, there's no argument against science. They had several months to make the case for politics. Medical experts had 2 hours to make the case for science, and within 2 hours, that case won, and the other case was destroyed. So I'm very, very proud to have had the support from our colleagues, and equally importantly proud of the community that have stepped up. And we see that decline because each and every person is taking a sense of ownership and responsibility to wear masks, to get vaccinated where possible, and to social distance as required.
Now, you mentioned the legal case that's going on. I also read where there was a cut in funding. Do you have a response to that?
Yes, the State Board of Education found probable cause in a proceeding that provided the 11 school districts 5 minutes to present their case. The motion was taken. Not one question was asked of any of the districts by the State Board of Education. So it was a predisposed position that they had. Many people described it as somewhat of a kangaroo court. I don't want to besmirch the State Board of Education's proceedings that way. However, again, 5 minutes to take a position to defend the health, welfare, and safety of over 375,000 students in the nation's 4th largest district, without one question being asked of each district, obviously affirms the fact that the decision was already made prior to the proceedings. Subsequent to their finding, they are now imposing sanctions to withhold the funding for the compensation equal to the amount of the salary on a monthly basis for those board members that voted for the mask mandate. So that currently is at play, but obviously it's not going to move us in terms of our conviction, in terms of our position, and in terms of our affirmation that science works and that we must maintain local control to do what we need to do to protect the health, welfare, and safety of our students.
Well, we'll be watching here and providing any type of support that that you all need for the best decision for our students. And in keeping in line with that, you have this other item that you just recently proffered for financial literacy in schools, which is completely overlooked as a need. And so thank you for bringing that. Can you tell our viewers a little more about it, please?
You know, Jessica, I've been honored and humbled to have proffered over 50 items during my first 4 years. Right now, I'm entering into my 5th year, and I guess I'm at about 60 plus items that have been successfully passed. And I want to say that I don't do very many resolutions, meaning I do believe that we have things that we can honor, but a majority of my items are action items. That means they are items that direct the superintendent to do certain things to move this district forward. Whether it's something in the area of economics, academics, community engagement, health, welfare and safety, equity, student discipline, my items have run the gamut. But ever so often, there are items that really speak to not only your head, but your heart. And they come from a special place of lived experiences. And they also come from a place like competitive cheerleading that's inspired by students. The financial literacy item was a combination of all three. It was an amalgamation of my lived experiences. It was an amalgamation of what our young people advised me of. I established a District 1 Student Advisory Committee, and it was a result of what was missing in the Miami-Dade County Public Schools and, quite frankly, schools across the state and nation. At my Student Advisory Committee, I asked the students one question. I asked them several questions, but the key question was, do you believe that Miami-Dade County Public Schools prepares you for life after high school? The response was not about college. It was not about the workforce. The response was about financial literacy. And one of our graduating seniors, who will be graduating high school in 8 months, said she does not know how to balance a checkbook. She has no sense of the importance and value of credit. She did not understand what was a foreclosure, so she didn't have the nexus between mortgages and financing and foreclosing, and basically that's not paying your bill. They had no sense of financial literacy. And that was 100% of the students in that room, and that was middle and high school students. So that was the catalyst for that particular item, along with the fact that I am the youngest of 6 children. My father had an 8th grade education, died with no life insurance. My mom got her GED at 45 years old at Dorsey, retired from the Miami Herald late into her career. So I did not necessarily come from money. I started my career as a teacher. But having some sense of insight and education and advisement of people, I made very sound economic decisions. And that's why I'm blessed and honored to be able to sit here this afternoon with you in the house that I first purchased. This is my first house. And I'll say this parenthetically. When I purchased this house under the advisement of a very wise person, I got a 15-year mortgage. I didn't get a 30-year mortgage. Somebody told me that there was an option. But that's just an example of financial literacy. And as I started to understand the concept of paying myself and investing in myself and investing in my future, not totally relying on the Florida retirement system, obviously that has been tremendously beneficial to me personally, but I can assure you it's been beneficial to me financially as well. And I think we have an obligation to impart that same knowledge, wisdom, and insight to our students, especially students who will not get that insight, who will not get that education, who will not get that knowledge at home. So the school system does have a responsibility. And I'm very excited that that item passed unanimously. And we can look forward to some exploration of financial literacy being in our curriculum, in our classes for the next school year.
Oh, awesome. That's quick.
Oh, we let's work. It's not let's go anymore. First 4 years, it was let's go. This next iteration, it's let's work.
All right. Well, let's work. I'm excited about that. What grade would that type of programming begin?
There may be some integration at the elementary school level, but the way that I wrote the item, and there has been an argument that the district integrates financial literacy, but I'm not talking about integration. I'm not talking about infusion. I'm talking about an isolated, discrete course that brings that level of deliberateness, that level of intentionality, and it only can come through a standalone elective course. Mm-hmm. So at the middle and high school, that will be a standalone elective option for students to choose. And in some cases, a course that can be assigned to students as we move toward some kind of requirement over the next several years.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. And then there was another very important item that you proffered, planning for the potential influx of Haitian immigrants, uh, or Haitian immigrant students. Tell us about it.
Yes, that was a result of what we saw, the horrific conditions that vexed our Haitian brothers and sisters, the dehumanization of them at the border in Texas. I mean, it was almost a throwback to an uncivilized set of circumstances with our families, our women, our children, our babies, who were trying to pursue freedom and who were trying to transition into a better life and better opportunity here in the United States. As a result, we can anticipate that those efforts won't cease. And I think every now and then we need to take a step back to look forward. And part of looking forward is to plan for that particular influx. Look at our policies, look at our procedures, look at our partnerships. We have tremendous partnerships in the Haitian community that can work shoulder to shoulder with us in this particular work to make sure that as students prepare to transition not only into our country, but into our schools, that we are fully equipped, fully prepared, and more importantly, fully committed to bring forth the confidence, the courage, and the compassion to receive those students and get them off to a great start.
What an awesome idea to just have the foresight of it, Steve. So excellent. Congratulations again on always being a champion for right. I have another topic I want to switch gears to. You had this disparity study, there was an observation on the economic front. Can you give us an update, please?
Oh, absolutely. When I ran in 2016, I set my platform, if you will, on three segments. Obviously, education, as we're a school system, but my platform also had a focus on equity, providing an equitable opportunity for all of our students and stakeholders, and also the economics of the school system. Our school system is a multi-billion-dollar business. This year, we passed the largest budget in the Miami-Dade County Public Schools history, topping $7 billion, topping $7 billion. Obviously, we may not realize a budget that substantial in the future because this was a part of the federal funds that came with the stimulus following the COVID-19 pandemic, the ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and the American Rescue Plan Act. That being said, the disparity study that preceded my arrival identified economic disparities in terms of Blacks, women, minority-owned businesses having a fair opportunity at the economic pie of the Miami-Dade County Public School System. The first iteration of that disparity study confirmed the disparity in the construction business. So it was unquestioned that there was disparate treatment of Blacks, specifically women, veteran, and minority-owned businesses in terms of getting opportunities for construction contracts in the district. That was confirmed. A set of protocols have been put in place to move that along, and obviously it's a journey that we must continue. The disparity study 2 went beyond the construction. That looked at procurement. How do we spend money? Paper towels, bathroom tissue, pencils, paper, milk, food. I brought forth an item, Jessica, that people didn't even contemplate, is that we have a multi-million dollar, over $100 million segment of our school district a budget is spent on food and nutrition. And in some cases, watch this, 0 Blacks were participants. Zero Blacks had access to pursue contracts under food and nutrition. Obviously, there was discussion about the federal provision. No, we weren't having any parts of it. So now we're going to be intentional about participating minority, Black, women-owned businesses in our food and nutrition program. So if you want to play, if you want to engage, if you want to participate in food and nutrition, contact the district. That being said, one of the most recent items that was passed, and it was not my item, but it was E-141, and that was for licensing and branding. Miami-Dade County Public Schools, but specifically the schools in the urban core, are a brand unto themselves through athletics, arts, and other marketing. But these schools have been exploited to a greater extent, been raped by the likes of Walmart and other organizations financially who sell our products, but give $0 back to the schools. And there was an effort to mitigate that. There was a company that was from out of state that got the contract 5 years ago. 5 years later, that company only yielded $17,000 to our district and to our schools. Unacceptable, unacceptable, unacceptable. We have to do better. And last night was a step in the right direction to do better with the awarding of that contract to Hosen Inc., a Black, African-American owned, local, small minority business who owns this space and licensing and branding and has the tremendous relationships and knows his way around with his team in the Miami-Dade County community. So we're looking forward to that and it bringing some better yield to our schools and most importantly to our students.
Congratulations to the Hosendorf team, and that I understood that he had been championing this type of opportunity for Miami-Dade County Public Schools to take ownership of their name, their likeness for quite a number of years now. So I'm just happy to see that come to fruition and possibly provide a whole new revenue stream, because those numbers you just told us, that has nothing to do with the bright future that Miami-Dade County Public Schools could actually be bringing in from all of the money that parents like myself, that we spend gearing up for school terms every year. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I wanted to also talk to you about security and safety provisions. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there was another item that was passed last evening, and obviously on the heels of a lot of the challenges that we've had as a district, as a board around this country, it was necessary for us to review our safety protocols for board members at board-related events and activities. Obviously, we do support people having a right to protest and express themselves on different issues, but what we have seen in some cases is that some of these instances have become potentially violent and potentially disruptive, and to the extent that we need to take a review of that and make the necessary adjustments and protocols and provisions for our board members, our superintendent, our administrators, our employees. We have school police obviously at the school site for our students, but we also have board members and staff members who may be potentially exposed to some challenges, and that we need to take a look at that particular area. Obviously, security is an area that we don't get into too many details because we don't want to reveal some of the strategies that we're employing for people who may want to do harm. But obviously, that item was for us to take a deeper dive in looking at that moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Gallen. Any closing thoughts and any way that we as the community can assist you with any of the efforts that need to go forward for Miami-Dade County Public Schools?
As I always say to the community, stay informed, get involved. Information allows you to be engaged. Engagement allows you to be empowered. And once you're empowered, you have power. It's EM powered. We need you to leverage your power to move things for our school district, move things for our schools, move things for our community, but most importantly, move things in the right direction for our children. So again, thank you, Jessica. It's always a pleasure to be here at home on The Culture. I want to wish you and your team continued success, and let's not stay away from each other too long. We got so many things to do and so many things to talk about, and it's always exciting. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. We have to be intentional. And don't forget to you, our viewers, to join us tonight at 6 p.m. right here on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Video Mix Live for another edition of My 2 Cents. Grab a drink, set your clock for a good time. Thanks for joining us.
The Culture is produced and owned by the Culture Media Group and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent. All rights reserved 2021.